about the age of 12 months, for most of us, we're going to be spending most of our day on our feet. So other than the time that we're perhaps sitting down or in bed asleep, most of the time we'll be spending standing up, walking, running, anything in an upright position. Humans are bipedal, which means that we spend our time, or we're walking on 2 legs as opposed to 4, which means that all of our body weight and all of our balance comes from these, which also means that the muscles in our feet are incredibly important to keep mobile. So the foot is quite short, obviously, but there are lots of muscles and tendons and ligaments that are in the feet. So keeping them mobile and getting the most out of those muscles is really important. So I've got here a few things that I use. There are some times when I actually spend my entire stretch time, which tends to be about half an hour each evening, just on my feet. So mobilising my feet and making sure that the muscles are nice and supple. So I'll quite often use something like this. I've got a different sort of one inside, just to foam. It's like I'm foam rolling, but the roller is smaller. So you could even use a rolling pin or something like that if you don't have. Perhaps don't cook straight after, but use a rolling pin or something like that that's got a similar dimension to roll over the feet. So I'll just spend a bit of time just rolling backward and forward and softening those the muscles along the bottom of the foot, and I'll do that with each foot and get to a point where those muscles are just feeling that little bit softer. Then if they're particularly tight, and my feet tend to get quite tight along the lateral edge of the foot, just the way that my gait works, those muscles are particularly tight. But for other people, it might be the medial edge of the foot, so along the arch. So wherever is tight for you, I then use smaller trigger point balls or knobbly balls, depending upon how my feet are feeling, but I'll trigger point. And I've got something a little bit smaller which sort of replicates a golf ball. So depending upon how you're feeling and how you want to trigger point your feet, you can use something small like a golf ball, or you can go something a little bit bigger like a trigger point ball. And again, I'll just spend a bit of time finding a tight spot and applying some pressure. And the good thing about standing up and doing it as opposed to sitting down, I'm using gravity to get that pressure. Now when I'm applying pressure, it's only to about a pain threshold of about 4 to 5 out of 10. Of course, it's going to differ for everybody, but basically what I'm saying is don't put so much pressure that the muscle wants to retract in a pain response. So you're actually wanting to keep that muscle as relaxed as possible, in the same way that we do when we're foam rolling or trigger pointing other parts in the body. So I'll just spend that time applying pressure. I'll stay here for anywhere between 30 seconds and 2 minutes until I can feel that warm flow of blood and the muscle relaxing, and then I'll move the ball to the next trigger point. Now there are a lot of fine bones that run through the foot as well, but the flesh sits over the top of the foot. So just be conscious of where, if your foot goes numb or anything like that, just back off the pressure. So go to almost a threshold of maybe 1 or 2 out of 10 and keep that threshold, the pressure a lot lighter until you get that flow of blood and the muscle relaxes, and then you can apply a little bit more pressure. So I'll generally start from the edge, so distally, and move proximally down the foot. So I'm starting closer to the toes, and then I'll apply pressure as I go along. Move sideways so you can see the ball a little bit more. So, and because I have the most amount of pain laterally to the foot, I'll tend to start with those ones and then move across the foot towards the arch, and I'll finish in the arch area. It doesn't matter the order that you use it. It really just, again, like I've said before, comes down to the amount of time you've got and the amount of pressure that your foot will take. So the good thing with a block or something like this is that it's not going to roll so much. So you get the pressure without it rolling away. So I've just made this out of a bit of wood, and I've screwed on a door handle so that I can apply pressure without actually having it roll away, but I've still got that smooth edge to it. So a little bit of a handmade job, but it does the trick really, really well. So after I've trigger pointed both feet, rolled and then trigger pointed, I'll then spend a bit of time stretching. And I think I've shown you this stretch before, where I'm right up on my toes and I'm stretching right through the flexors of the foot. So when we're walking, the toes want to grab onto the ground, so they're constantly flexing, tiny, tiny flexes, but that's what maintains our balance on the ground as the muscles grab and flex onto the ground. So they're working, just like our hands are constantly working in that grasping, holding position, holding a phone, holding a mouse, typing, holding cutlery, whatever we're doing, we're constantly grasping or flexing our fingers. Our feet are doing that, the same thing to the ground, constantly grabbing hold of the ground to maintain our balance. So spend that time stretching. And you'll probably notice I'm stretching also down the planet or the back of the calf, because there's the muscles of the calf run through an area in the back of the ankle and then join the muscles in the foot. But today we're just focusing on the mobility of the foot. Give that a go, see how it works. If you like being, you spend a lot of time on your feet, you'll probably want to do that reasonably regularly.